So we are coming to the end of the TechVerse, but we have this session. This is a panel discussion under the title of Shared Desire to Know, Appeal and Difficulty of Group Study Sessions. So we have a little bit different topics within the framework of this event. But first, I'd like to start with the introductions of our speakers. First of all, my name is Ikkou Morohoshi. So I am specialized in the XR and creative development sections together with Yahoo Japan LINE, and we had a meetup event. I am from LINE. My name is Takuma Hanatani. My handle name is Potato Foodie, so maybe you know my handle name. And my interest is in UIT. Well, I am the manager for UIT inside organization, and then as you can see from UIT Meetup and also the webcast, UIT Insight, those are actually I organized these. So this is the reason why I invited this, because I had some joint session with Yahoo Japan and others. My name is Kengo Haruno. I'm a designer at Yahoo Japan. Usually I am with the ad production division. At the same time, I am involved in the design system creation, not only designing but also front end side, and also cross-company web front and support. That is another responsibility of mine, and as been mentioned already, I am also a person who is involved in the joint sessions and others. Okay, so in order to start our discussion, I believe the LINE and Yahoo Japan have the joint sessions. So first I would like to ask Hanatani-san to explain. So in around 2025 to the summer 2021, so there were 5 sessions for front end. There was an online joint sessions, study sessions, but from both sides we contributed to discussions, and that's included as exchange of ideas and opinions as well. So I myself was involved in organizing this event. So could you explain the topics that you discussed? Yes, so let me explain that. So every 2 months we organize this event, because from the start we decided to organize this event on a regular basis, and we broaden the discussion from the front end to other areas as well. And also in the beginning we used the LT to organize this session, but also we had a panel discussion like this one as well. And also we received a question from the viewers and audience as well. And if you look at these, we organized a session for design systems, not only a front end, but also invited designers in our discussion. So front end is now overlapped with the design side. Therefore, we invited designers in your discussion as well. Okay, thank you very much. So based on that, in this panel discussion, we are going to cover topics that we prepared beforehand. So first of all, as you have just explained, why did you start the joint study group?
Okay, so let me start. So this time from LINE, we have positively proposed to hold this meeting. And so there is a management integration event, which is a major thing that had happened, and announcement has been made, and everyone knows company-wide. But from the business side, there is a discussion about the collaboration and how to generate synergy. But on the development side, we didn't have an occasion to collaborate. So we didn't know what the developer of the other company is doing. And so in this situation, so if we are to do any work, then we don't know the strength each other, and we are unable to actually try to collaborate each other. So in order for us to expand the options, we consider that it's better to know each other about the strength of the two companies. So myself and Yoshino-san have considered that, and we have tried to understand the connection point on the Yahoo Japan side. So there was no relationship initially, and you have come up with the idea of collaborating each other and then started to develop a relation. So at Yahoo Japan, I was in charge of running the session, joint session. So because of that, I invited. So when you were proposed to do the joint session with LINE, so how did you feel? So I was pleased to receive the offer. So what is the best way to collaborate each other? Honestly speaking, I had no idea. So which is the area that we had take action. So considering that, we were considering about that when we were proposed. So I was able to finally talk to the people of the other company. So you had intention originally on both ends, right? So in case of LINE, there's a UIT meetup meeting, and in case of Yahoo Japan, Bonfire. So there are such events on respective companies, but we didn't have occasion to invite each other. So we were conscious, but we really did not, communicate. But based on the proposal, we started to communicate each other. Okay, so this is how you have decided to do the joint study group. And how did you feel after doing the joint study group? So you belong to a different company, and I think that you have your own challenges. But after going through the joint study session, how did you feel? The feedback about it. Okay, so let me start. So Yahoo Japan and LINE, based on what I know, in case of LINE, it's basically based on English. So there are many different people from different countries working there. So I think this is the biggest change. And the speaker on the LINE side, some people are from foreign country. And so in their own country's culture, they do develop technology. This is what we don't know at Yahoo Japan. So we are able to come to understand the different world. And it was quite stimulating for us. So there are some assumptions for us to work, but there are cultural differences. And so I started to be interested in those different cultures. So from the LINE perspective, so the distance between the design organization or the design perspective is by far stronger at Yahoo Japan than LINE. So unless you seriously consider, you don't fully understand what is your strength. So by comparing the two companies, we are able to gradually understand that better. So in case of our company, so it's English-based communication. So we took it for granted. But listening to him, I was able to understand that that was something that Yahoo Japan do not have. So as you mentioned, the close distance with the design side. So do you recognize that's the situation in Yahoo Japan? So when it comes to Yahoo Japan, the engineering job and the design job is two major classifications. So I belong to the designer part, but I was engaged in the front end. So when it comes to Yahoo Japan, so a designer can be writing for the front end more frequently. So there is a more profound understanding about the design for the front-end development. So I think we are more flexible from that perspective. And the engineer people are not really involved in front end usually. So in many cases, engineer is leading the action, right? By different companies. So the terminology engineer might be different for the definition. So the designer, when you say, are they engaged in the front end or not? So there are differences. So by joining, by collaborating each other, I think that you're able to understand many different things. Right. In case of LINE, there's a UIT organization. So I think that's attractiveness because you're able to concentrate the knowledge and technologies by having that dedicated organization. That's an attractiveness. And when it comes to Yahoo Japan, so it's more mixed with the design function. So we are able to accumulate knowledge from because of that. And so we hope to gather more information or knowledges on both ends. Right. So we consider it's a different strength we have, but weakness we have. So we are able to once again come to realize what's the weakness, and that is going to lead to the actions that we take subsequent after noticing that. So by having the joint group study sessions, you are able to understand the attractiveness of the two companies. So I think that you're able to expand or deploy this case example in wider organizations. So for the attractiveness side, so technologically speaking, there are areas that we are unable to strongly address, but the other company can do that. So in case of LINE, so when we had the information exchange meeting, so for the performance improvement, we have an interest, but we are unable to reflect that to the product. But as in the information exchange meeting in Yahoo Japan, so the web performance improvement case example has been shared, and that stimulated us, and we started to have a stronger motivation to address. So the area that we failed to address in the past, we started to address that after knowing that Yahoo Japan is doing. Right. So after you try to collaborate each other, you have better understanding about each other, right? So moving on to the next topic. So for the attractiveness, we are able to confirm the positive things. But you belong to different organizations, different companies. So I think that there are many difficulties because of that. So what are the difficulties in holding study sessions across companies? So the most difficult part was to find the lecturer. So we are able to set the theme, and we are able to come up with idea about which is area we need to address. But in consideration of the lecturer, we are able to find the lecturer in one company, but not in the other company. So we had difficulty to identify theme. So after searching for the proper instructor or the lecturer, so we need to identify theme. So the area that we are able to match, so what we need, then we are able to find a theme, but we had difficulty. So you expanded the theme. Right. So if this is a theme, then you are unable to find the proper lecturer at the other company. So that's the difficulty we had. So when you're to hold the group study sessions in your own company, then it's quite difficult to find the lecturer. But when it comes to the joint sessions, you need to align with each other. So I can understand how difficult it is. So in Yahoo Japan, so what kind of approach you took? So there is a language barrier at the beginning. So when it comes to Yahoo Japan, the main language is Japanese. But by involving LINE, so we need to be able to communicate in English or even Korean. And there is a request to have a English website. So as Yahoo Japan, so we didn't consider that we need to respond to English as an assumption. And so the people, so the lecturer's presentation to be prepared in English is something that we have struggled because it needs it involves cost for the translation. So at the beginning, we do not know how to respond.
And we considered hiring interpreters, but that was also challenging because we didn't know how much we should invest into the kind of the group study sessions. So as I said in the beginning, we wanted to provide opportunities for exchanges. So from the LINE perspective, in order to broaden opportunities, we wanted to provide a multi-language sessions. However, it's of course we must hit the right balance. And you have organized us 5 times such a group study discussions, and have you solve all of those difficulties? Well, so looking back, maybe talking about the topics, we tried two new topics to be covered in each time. However, maybe we were able to come back to the same topic. So maybe about the finding right topics and also recruiting the speakers for each topic are the challenges. And then, okay, so let's move on to the next topic. So there are some difficulties in addition to the benefit, but what about the next step? What do you want to try in the future? Well, I myself will be part of this discussion because I sometimes organize some events, but due to the COVID-19, the format has dramatically changed in organizing this kind of events. But what is your next step? What do you want to try going forward? Okay, can I start? Yes. So through the group study sessions, what I learned is that, well, each individual has a different level of engagement, and of course we have some of the exchanges in addition to these group study sessions. But whether that these sessions stimulated our exchanges between the two companies, I'm not so sure. Well, usually these sessions, the impact of those sessions really differ depending on individual, right? Therefore, in order to make an impact on the organization for both companies, that would be maybe challenging. So, do you have any know-how? Well, in UIT meetup, we began to organize UIT meetup. So those kind of community activities, yeah, that is a existing challenge. We can't really force people to join, but at the same time that we need to cover the broad audience so that we can able to make an impact on the organization, not on each individual. Well, as I discussed about challenges, first of all, online and offline. Well, these 5 sessions are organized online. And if once you do it online, then usually that we have one-sided kind of communications. It's not like an interactive. So that is something that we miss in the online sessions. Of course, there are people who are satisfied simply listening to the talks by the lecturers. However, whether that help lecturers also feel satisfied by joining this kind of event. So maybe we need to have more like interactive sessions between speakers and an audience. Yeah, due to COVID-19, that we have changed the way to organize this kind of events. Well, actually, there was a time gap when the COVID-19 broke out, and because nobody know how to organize this kind of event in the beginning of the COVID-19. So, well, today, well, this is actually for me for the first time to meet you both. And then, well, once you meet in person, you can have better communication. But well, because of the COVID-19, we switched over to our online platform. In person, the event, you can, for example, reach out to the speakers after the event is officially finished, or maybe they can have some kind of drink session after official event. But in online, you can't do it exactly so due to the online platform. Well, in the past, also we were able to have some kind of exchange after the event. But when it comes to the online, that if you look at the situation of this Techverse as well, the exchange between speakers and the exchange between audience. But so those who are close to the organization of the event, and they have opportunity to exchange each other. For example, like even online, those who are speakers, they usually have some kind of exchange. Then what can we do to improve the situation? Well, in the past, we organize a panel discussion, and also we take up the question from the audience as well to try to answer the questions coming from the audience. And also we wanted to increase the number of the participants in the discussion. Therefore, we actually planted a person in our event so that we prepare some person who joined our discussion. And also not simply writing the questions into the chat box or the Q&A function, but once they unmute and speak up the question, that is a better way to communicate. That's actually improve our communication, I think. Well, that is actually good way. And from different perspective, or maybe we can go close to the speakers. Well, we organize 5 sessions, but we can make it a light session. Well, this is the internal study sessions. Therefore, there is a high tolerability to failures because these are internal sessions. And then these sessions are also good for speakers, for them to train speaking, because sometimes they're invited to speak outside their companies. So maybe if they are speaking to people in their own organization, they find it easy to speak, but then that could be a good training session for speakers as well. Yeah, I understand that. Yes, an internal session has certain benefit. So within the same group, yeah, there are some benefit to organize joint session. Same time, it's sometimes difficult to organize an event inviting many different companies. Yes, we wanted to have the frank discussion. I didn't want to make it official, like a training session, like a lecture meeting. If this is the official, like a lecture, speaker will be under pressure. Therefore, we wanted to make it very frank discussion opportunity. Therefore, also we try to invite a younger generation as well. Those who join the company like in a couple of years in the past. So we try to invite those younger speakers as well. Or if we had to continue those discussions, yeah, I believe we could have invited more younger generation as well. And also we focus on the developer organization focusing on developer as well towards the end of those 5 sessions. Yes, that's could be an interesting. And then I think there are a lot of things we can improve. So recruiting speakers, and also you mentioned this event could be an occasion where you can focus on young generation, and also you can provide an opportunity for speakers for their speaking training. And online is a bit different from the in-person. So, for example, I'm speaking to you on this online platform, but there's no response from the audience, so we do not know how we are being viewed.
So for us, so we invite presenters to hold a session, but there's always fixed people who serve as a presenter, and so we give consideration that we should invite more younger people, but the people who are willing to present. So you have many volunteers. So in case of LINE, well, there are candidates, but those candidates are fixed. So if we more actively invite, then they become more willing. So big assumption to implement event like this is so we shouldn't involve who are unwilling. So there are people who really don't want to speak in front of others, then it's going to affect that person's motivation, and the event itself, the quality is going to be going down. So those who are willing and those who are capable to a certain extent should be invited more. And so from that perspective, we shouldn't involve people who are unwilling and hesitant. But we need to sense if the people have motivation or not. And so I was conscious about that point, which is intentional people. So the people who presented once at Yahoo Japan is recommending the people they know to give presentation, right? So we are able to find a young presenter in that way, and I'm covering various things across the company, but I was able to find a presenter who I didn't know at all. So I was able to expand the network of people. Right, so as you pointed out, the people who are unwilling to present shouldn't be invited forcefully. So we really need to invite people who are willing and who have intention and who have interest. So it's a great thing if you're able to offer them the occasion to actually speak in front of others, because it's going to enhance the skill of those people, and the event is going to be bigger. So this is a win-win between the individuals and the company. Right. The fact that you're able to speak in front of people is a strength for you, so you're able to build up the experience. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the next topic. So this time, so within the same group of Z Holdings, so we do integrate the management, and we are the same group companies. And going beyond the organization or the company, so message to viewers, we want to plan study sessions beyond the organization, companies, and teams. So do you have any suggestion about how well we can do, or any difficulties? So we would like to have a frank opinion from you. It's quite difficult. So based on my experience, so in the first year after I started working at the company, so I was able to do the group study sessions externally and internally. And the reason why I'm engaged in this is the motivation that I have is I belong to a big company. So since I'm a member of the big company, I would like to listen to many different people. So I became quite active in being engaged. So if you are interested, so my motto is to take action at least once. So it's a second year or first year. to work at the company. So we should make a trial more and more. So I try to actively involve many different people, and I was able to expand this effort. So once you have the interest, you want to be involved, then rather than doing on your own, it's better to involve other people. So that's my personal feeling. So the title of the session is The Shared Desire to Know, Appeal and Difficulty of Group Study Sessions. So the fact that you have a strong interest to know about other people. Right. So this is one of the reasons why I decided to join the company. So I originally had the motivation to know about more people. So you made a trial, and so it was quite positive for you, right? As a result of that trial. Right, because I was able to come to know the people I didn't know, and I was able to establish a connection, network of people, and be able to learn deeper. So not only Yahoo, but the external presenter, I was able to speak with them. So that's the benefit. So it was a great experience. I was able to go through, and I would like to continue as much as possible in the future as well. So the people who just joined the company, so the more area you haven't experienced, then you can get a bigger benefit. So the knowledge that you cannot gain by searching on the internet can be gained by directly talking to people, and that's quite beneficial. So the thing that you learned yourself and what the companies are doing, so the volume or quality of the knowledge is quite different. So it's a great occasion to directly know about that from the people. Thank you very much. So what about LINE? So going beyond the company, so not only the company, but in general. So setting the objective and do not measure the effectiveness is important. Really, so quantitative measurement of the results is something that you shouldn't do. So if you don't set objective, then so you will lose the time to finish or conclude. So you need to set the objective. Otherwise, the presenter have difficulty to give presentation, and it's quite difficult to decide whether we want to continue the session or not. So are we going to conclude or finish the activity, or do you want to continue? So we need to set the target first, and the quantitative measurement. So the qualitative one is fine, but if you try to be quantitative in measuring the effect, then you will be disappointed because you cannot get the effects right away. And so after quitting the attempt, so if there's an impact to the image or the branding, then you will understand you need to be engaged over time. So if you try to measure quantitative impact of the short-term impact, then you tend to get the negative result oftentimes. So we do some 130 repeated actions under certain initiative, but we are able to gradually confirm the effectiveness. So it is very important not to measure the effectiveness. So we do take questionnaire for the sessions, but depending on the result of the questionnaire, we didn't try to change the contents. So for us to continue this session, this is very important. Okay, so for the study sessions, right, so it's linked to the measurement of the effectiveness. So why are we doing this? And what is going to happen after doing the session? So those questions are something you can be asked. So what do you think about that? So you're not measuring the result, but you don't get those questions. Well, so I think we are able to achieve a certain consensus with my supervisor. So at the UI function organization, so communication to external party and the session internally is considered quite important. So I really do not have a dispute about that with my supervisor. So thanks to the consensus. Okay, so gaining understanding is important, right? So what was the case at Yahoo Japan? So honestly speaking, so I think that we are quantitatively measuring because for us to organize the session, so depending on the theme, so to talk about what had happened in the past, so depending on the theme, so the number of audience varies. So was it effective to pick up a certain theme or not? So we tend to ask ourselves. So I was able to understand quantitative measurement was not so important. Listening to you, the motivation to continue a session like this. So we want to confirm that people are able to gain benefit. So rather than focusing on the quantitative result, so we want to confirm people benefit from this session. So I think I agree that we shouldn't do quantitative measurement. Right. So this is a very important point for the audience. So for audience to implement sessions jointly, then it's quite important to achieve consensus beforehand. So for the front end, if we focus on the participants, so for the meetup, we have more audience, so maybe we can pick up some, important themes. So we try to separate out the type of the sessions. So if we want to dispatch some messages strongly, then we don't give consideration about that a lot.
And also, for example, accessibility, that is hot topic, but maybe we can organize an event for that hot topic as well. So I try to separate out event for hot topic and event for communicating your messages. So maybe we can pick up the topic that is very niche, and so looking at the number of the people who join an event, but still it's valuable to organize event for niche topic. So simply counting number of participants, you won't be able to create valuable events. Okay, thank you. So going forward, do you have any particular idea for the futures? Maybe joint session with another company for example. Well, over the last 2 to 3 years, I have been working online, and now, for example, when we organize event, the speakers come to the venue, and then the our audience join online. I think this format is quite effective. At the first step, you can create a community among speakers. That could be the first step after this COVID-19. And then once this situation settled down, then once we become able to organize the offline event, in-person event, then maybe we can actually fuse benefit of online and offline the events to create better events. So of course, there's certain benefit of an offline event, in-person event. Therefore, I am thinking about how we can restart that kind of offline events. So what about LINE? Well, in LINE, compared to the Yahoo Japan, well, we don't have much exchange with the another group company. now we have some collaboration with Ikkou. However, that we do not have much opportunity to collaborate with another group companies, but I want to expand such joint sessions with other group companies of Z Holding. So maybe in the future, yeah, it's maybe conference. Well, TechVerse is quite a large-scale conference, but in addition to this conference, maybe we can organize a conference focused on the front end, for example. Okay, thank you very much. I think time has come, but before we end, I'd like to ask you both for the final comments, starting with LINE. Well, this time I spoke a lot, but when it comes to the group study sessions, the will of initiators are very important. So those who are interested in organizing this kind of joint session, please take action. So please take action. Yeah, that is my message to you. Okay, so Yahoo Japan. Yeah, I have basically the same message to you. Well, it requires a lot of energies to organize this type of event, but doing this type of event, so my motivation, as I said, I can get a lot of input from the speakers. So this is the reason why I started to organize the event. So you don't need to be really worried about future. You should just take actions if you want to know others and if you want to listen to the speech made by other people. Please take action. Maybe you can start a small session without worrying much about the future. So I don't think that is so difficult to organize this kind of event. And then if your action may grow larger. What can I say? Yeah, you can stop if you want to stop. Yeah, don't need to force to continue. Okay, so that was a good closing comments. Okay, that was the panel discussion titled Shared Desire to Know, Appeal and Difficulty of Group Study Sessions. I hope those who joined our session learned something and motivated to do something. Thank you very much.